Summer 1943. Camp Crossville, Tennessee. The brown liquid fizzing in the bottle mesmerized the German soldier, who had never seen anything like it. After 2 years fighting in North Africa, subsisting on hard biscuits and ersatz coffee, this sweet carbonated drink called Coca-Cola represented impossibility made real. It cost 5 cents at the camp canteen, the same price, guards informed him, that American children paid with their allowances. Across American prison camps that summer, 371,683 German POWs confronted a reality that contradicted everything Nazi propaganda had taught them about American weakness. They discovered a nation where ice cream was a routine dessert, where soft drinks were everyday beverages, where candy bars were so plentiful that guards gave them away. These simple foods, treats most German children had never tasted, systematically demolished Nazi ideology more effectively than any leaflet or speech. The mathematics of abundance were written in sugar and carbonation, in chocolate and ice cream, exposing an American industrial capacity that rendered German deprivation not noble sacrifice but needless suffering. What began as amazement at confections evolved into complete psychological transformation. The desert's end, the Afrika Korps surrender in Tunisia in May 1943, brought approximately 250,000 German and Italian soldiers into Allied captivity. These veteran fighters, who had once pushed the British back to Egypt under Rommel's leadership, expected harsh treatment as prisoners. Nazi propaganda had prepared them for American brutality and starvation. Instead, within hours of surrender, they encountered American K-rations. Field meals that U.S. soldiers routinely complained about contained treasures, crackers, processed cheese, candy, fruit bars, instant coffee, sugar tablets, and cigarettes. German soldiers who had survived on minimal rations for months treated these emergency packs as banquets. Military records confirm that at processing camps in North Africa, the U.S. Army served pancakes with syrup, fresh eggs, and milk foods absent from German rations for years. The systematic feeding of enemies with superior provisions began immediately, though its psychological impact would only be recognized later. A German officer later testified to the International Red Cross. "We expected to be starved as prisoners. Instead, the Americans fed us better than our own army had." This confusion about American resources began our education. The Liberty ships carrying POWs across the Atlantic in summer 1943 became classrooms of abundance. Mass-produced at astonishing speed, one completed every 42 hours at peak production. These vessels transported up to 30,000 prisoners monthly to the United States. Naval records show that prisoner rations aboard matched or exceeded crew standards, approximately 3,500 calories daily, with fresh bread, meat, vegetables, and coffee with sugar and milk. Refrigeration systems, standard equipment on American ships, kept food fresh for the entire 2-week crossing. Most remarkable of all were the desserts. Documented accounts confirm that ice cream was served multiple times during Atlantic passages. The USS General M.B. Stewart's log from July 1943 records ice cream served on Independence Day, produced in 10-gallon batches from the ship's onboard machine. For men who hadn't tasted ice cream since before the war, that frozen sweetness, eaten in the middle of the ocean, defied comprehension. And when the ships docked at Norfolk or Newport News, German POWs saw firsthand the American Nazi propaganda had declared impossible. The Norfolk Naval Base, covering 4,300 acres with sprawling waterfront facilities, moved more cargo in a single day than major German ports managed in a week. At the port exchanges, shops set up for dock workers, German prisoners glimpsed shelves lined with candy bars from Hershey, Mars, and Nestle. Military procurement records from 1943 confirm these exchanges carried dozens of varieties, sold at the same flat price, 5 cents, the standard cost across the United States. The journey inland by train provided further revelations. Unlike the cattle cars used for prisoner transport in Europe, German POWs traveled in passenger coaches. Dining cars served full meals. Menus from July 1943 list fried chicken, vegetables, pie, and coffee. Prisoners quickly learned this wasn't special treatment. It was ordinary American rail service. Prison camps across the United States were built to exceed Geneva Convention standards. Camp Crossville, Tennessee, representative of the larger facilities, included electric lighting, hot water, flush toilets, and heated barracks. But it was the post-exchanges, or PX stores, that delivered the deepest cultural shock. Quartermaster records show they stocked multiple soft drink brands, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, RC Cola, alongside candy bars, confections, ice cream where refrigeration permitted, cigarettes, fresh fruit, snacks, and even 3.2% beer. Prisoners earned 80 cents per day for labor, later raised to $1. With candy bars and bottles of Coca-Cola priced at 5 cents each, a day's wage could buy 16 luxuries, goods far beyond the reach of ordinary Germans, where such items, if available at all, required connections or black market trade. Coca-Cola became the most powerful symbol of American industrial democracy. The Coca-Cola Company's wartime production was staggering. Records show 5 billion bottles manufactured in 1943 alone. A military contract guaranteed every U.S. serviceman worldwide could buy a bottle for 5 cents, a promise that demanded unprecedented logistical coordination. German prisoners discovered this American drink, unfamiliar to most before capture, was everywhere. Camps received regular deliveries. Work details saw vending machines and coolers at gas stations, factories, and schools. Americans of all classes drank it casually, often discarding bottles half-finished. What astounded technically minded prisoners was not just the ubiquity but the uniformity. Coca-Cola tasted identical in Maine and Texas, a level of quality control unmatched by German industry. The syrup was manufactured in Atlanta and distributed to bottling plants nationwide, a model of centralized coordination that defied Nazi assumptions about American disorganization. Company archives reveal that many camps received weekly deliveries of 200 to 300 cases, each case holding 24 bottles. Camp Hearn, Texas alone consumed about 7,000 bottles per week during the summer of 1943. Ice cream, perhaps the most unthinkable luxury, astonished prisoners. Many had not tasted it since before the war. Yet Army records confirm that in camps with adequate refrigeration, ice cream was regularly served during summer months. For the U.S. military, ice cream was considered essential to morale, so important that specialized ice cream-making ships were constructed for the Pacific Fleet. At Camp Shelby, Mississippi, the Independence Day celebration in 1943 featured ice cream made on site. German prisoners watched as hand-cranked freezers turned ice, salt, cream, sugar, and flavorings into gallons of dessert. The extravagance was incomprehensible. Ice in July, cream and sugar dedicated to entertainment food. By 1944, many camps had electric ice cream makers, producing flavors that surpassed German parlors of the 1930s: vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, butter, pecan. Prisoners could buy ice cream bars or sandwiches for 10 cents. Procurement records show that larger camps ordered 50 to 100 gallons weekly in the summer. Sugar itself became a symbol of American abundance. In Germany, it was strictly rationed, 280 grams per month when available. In American camps, sugar sat in bowls on every mess hall table, free and unlimited. Quartermaster logs record weekly deliveries of 100-pound bags of refined sugar to individual camps. Kitchens used it liberally. Cakes, cookies, pies, sweetened coffee, and cereals. At Camp Aliceville, Alabama in August 1943, several hundred pounds of sugar hardened in humid weather. Instead of salvaging it, the staff discarded it and simply ordered more. German prisoners working in the kitchen were reportedly horrified at the waste. Chocolate told a similar story. Hershey, Mars, and Nestlé produced millions of bars monthly, even under wartime restrictions. The U.S. military alone purchased 380 million pounds of chocolate products during the war. Camp PX stores stocked multiple varieties: standard Hershey bars, D-ration emergency chocolate, and assorted candy bars priced between 5 and 10 cents. Prisoners noticed that Americans had brand preferences, casually choosing between chocolates that German civilians hadn't seen in years. Red Cross parcels added more bars of chocolate, crackers, canned meat, cheese, instant coffee, soap, and cigarettes, luxuries that exceeded the rations of German civilians at home. The holidays revealed American abundance most dramatically. Thanksgiving 1943 introduced German prisoners to a feast they had never imagined. Army records confirm every POW camp served the traditional meal: roast turkey with stuffing, mashed potatoes and gravy, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce, vegetables, pumpkin pie, coffee, and milk. Coordinating this meal for 425,000 prisoners and millions of U.S. servicemen worldwide displayed an organizational power that dwarfed German capacity. That prisoners received the same food as American soldiers further contradicted Nazi teachings about racial hierarchy. Christmas 1943 brought an outpouring of civilian generosity. Church groups, civic organizations, and individuals sent packages to POWs. The American Friends Service Committee alone distributed 50,000 Christmas parcels filled with cookies, candy, cigarettes, games, books, and toiletries. In towns like Tonkawa, Oklahoma, locals delivered homemade treats to prisoners. In Hearn, Texas, church congregations brought Christmas cookies to the camp. This mercy from ordinary Americans, many with loved ones fighting overseas, struck at the heart of Nazi ideology. Strength was shown not in cruelty, but in generosity. By 1944, labor shortages meant tens of thousands of German POWs worked outside the wire, particularly in agriculture and food processing. Around 100,000 were employed in fields, canneries, and orchards. In Michigan, they picked cherries destined for maraschino production, the bright garnishes for ice cream sundaes. The sheer volume shocked them, single orchards producing tons of fruit for decoration. At canneries, they witnessed industrial processing lines that produced more food in a day than German systems managed in months. Would you like me to continue this account by expanding on what they observed in canneries and food factories, showing how these experiences deepened their realization of America's unmatched abundance? Prisoners observed quality control that rejected perfectly edible food for minor imperfections. Del Monte records from 1944 show that approximately 15% of fruit was rejected for canning due to size irregularities or minor blemishes, typically diverted to animal feed. Sugar beet processing in Colorado and Nebraska revealed agricultural mechanization beyond German achievement. Single farms produced more sugar beets than entire German regions. Prisoners learned that American sugar production from both cane and beets reached approximately 7 million tons annually, explaining the casual abundance they witnessed. German prisoners working near schools witnessed early versions of organized school lunch programs. Children received hot lunches including milk, protein, and vegetables. The National School Lunch Act would formalize this in 1946, but precedent programs operated during the war. The milk program particularly impressed German observers. Many schools provided fresh milk to children daily. The logistics of daily delivery to thousands of schools demonstrated organizational capacity Germany could not achieve even for military supplies. Some school cafeterias offered ice cream for purchase. The idea of children buying frozen desserts at school while German children faced food shortages created profound impact among prisoner observers. When minimum security prisoners ate at American diners under guard, they encountered democratic abundance. These small restaurants offered menus that would have graced elite German establishments, yet were available to anyone with modest funds. Documented prices from 1944 show hamburgers at 25 cents, Coca-Cola at 5 cents, pie slices at 15 cents, ice cream sundaes at 25 cents, full dinner specials at 65 to 75 cents. The equality of service, anyone could order anything, contradicted German social stratification. A factory worker and a bank president ate identical meals at adjacent counter stools, served by the same waitress for the same price. As prisoners gained access to American publications, they discovered production statistics that dwarfed German efforts. 1944 American production documented sugar, approximately 7 million tons, chocolate and cocoa products, 380 million pounds for the military alone, Coca-Cola 5 billion bottles, 1943 figure, ice cream over 500 million gallons, milk, 1,119 billion quarts. German production in the same period, sugar heavily rationed, primarily from beets, chocolate reserved for military priority only, soft drinks, minimal production, ice cream virtually non-existent, milk, severely rationed. These numbers, published openly in American media, demonstrated that America's wartime production exceeded Germany's peacetime peaks. By late 1944, German prisoners were sending food packages to Germany rather than receiving them. Using camp wages, they purchased American products to mail home: chocolate bars, instant coffee, canned goods. International Red Cross records confirm this reversal. German prisoners in America sent approximately 11 million parcels to Germany during their captivity, most containing food items. The impact on German families receiving American abundance from imprisoned relatives while facing starvation in freedom profoundly undermined Nazi ideology. American rationing, implemented during the war, revealed the gulf between societies. Americans complained about sugar rationing of 2 pounds monthly per person, more than triple the German allowance when available. American meat rationing, at 28 ounces weekly per person, exceeded what Germans received monthly. Even rationed Americans maintained consumption levels Germans considered impossible luxury. The Office of Price Administration records show Americans purchased 74 pounds of sugar per capita in 1944, despite rationing, 10 times German consumption. Beyond Coca-Cola, prisoners discovered America's soft drink industry: Pepsi Cola, Dr. Pepper, RC Cola, Orange Crush, and countless regional brands competed nationwide. The variety itself, multiple companies producing similar products, demonstrated market abundance impossible under a German-controlled economy. Bottling plants operated in every major city. The technology of carbonation, bottling, capping, and labeling was standardized and efficient. Single plants produced millions of bottles annually. The distribution network reached every small town, gas station, and grocery store.
By war's end, American soft drink production reached billions of bottles annually, dozens per citizen each year. This single industry's output exceeded entire sectors of German consumer production. Spring 1945 brought the final blow. As American forces advanced through Germany, German prisoners in America watched newsreels of GIs distributing chocolate and gum to German children. These children's joy at receiving American candy their own government could not provide completed the ideological demolition. The contrast was stark. American soldiers advancing through enemy territory carried enough candy to give away, while the German state that promised triumph delivered starvation. Films of concentration camp liberations showed American troops sharing rations with skeletal survivors, demonstrating humanity toward victims of the regime German soldiers had served. Between 1945 and 1946, German prisoners returned to a destroyed homeland. Many had gained weight in American captivity. While their families lost weight to starvation in freedom, they brought knowledge of abundance to a land of absolute scarcity. Medical examinations showed German prisoners generally returned healthier than when captured. They rejoined families weakened by deprivation. This physical evidence of American plenty versus German deprivation was undeniable. Many prisoners brought final Red Cross packages home: chocolate, coffee, canned goods that became family treasures. Children who had forgotten chocolate's taste received Hershey bars from fathers who had eaten ice cream regularly in prison camps. Former prisoners became unexpected advocates for the Marshall Plan. They had witnessed American abundance that was not zero-sum, prosperity through production, not conquest. Their testimony that Americans could afford to rebuild enemies influenced German acceptance of American aid. These men understood that American power came from productive capacity, not extraction. They had seen a society wealthy enough to waste food while fighting a global war. Do you want me to continue polishing the earlier sections, Crossville, Liberty ships, canteens, first exposure to Coca-Cola and ice cream, into the same style so the entire narrative reads seamlessly? This mental model, creation rather than conquest, shaped West Germany's economic approach. The German economic miracle of the 1950s was built partly on knowledge gained in American prison camps. Former prisoners who had witnessed American production methods, distribution systems, and consumer abundance applied these lessons to Reconstruction. They had learned that mass production could make luxuries affordable, standardization enabled quality and efficiency, consumer abundance created political stability, industrial democracy could outproduce authoritarian control. These lessons learned through Coca-Cola and ice cream shaped a generation of German business and political leaders. The transformation of German prisoners through American food abundance is documented in military quartermaster records, International Red Cross reports, corporate production archives, particularly Coca-Cola's, censored but preserved correspondence, post-war interviews, memoirs, and academic studies. Arnold Krammer, the leading historian of German POWs in America, concluded that food abundance was central to ideological change. His research confirmed that casual American plenty accomplished what formal re-education programs could not: the complete demolition of Nazi superiority myths. The statistical summary tells an irrefutable story. Average prisoner consumption, 1943 to 1946, daily calories, 3,300 to 3,600, sugar, 4 pounds monthly, meat, 32 ounces weekly, milk 1 quart daily, ice cream served regularly in summer, soft drinks unlimited at 5 cents each. German civilian rations, same period, daily calories 1,200 to 1,500, sugar 280 grams monthly when available, meat 10.5 ounces weekly, often unavailable, milk severely rationed, ice cream non-existent, soft drinks unavailable. These disparities were not propaganda but documented fact. Enemy prisoners ate better than German civilians, proving that American abundance extended even to defeated foes. The experience of American food culture influenced post-war Germany profoundly. Coca-Cola returned in 1949 as a symbol of alliance. Ice cream parlors modeled after American soda fountains appeared in cities. Candy bars and chewing gum became markers of recovery. Former prisoners often became importers of American food products, understanding their appeal firsthand. They knew these goods represented more than flavor. They symbolized abundance, democracy, and modernity. The introduction of supermarkets in the 1950s was championed by men who had seen American grocery stores. They recognized that democratic abundance required new distribution methods, not only production increases. In interviews and memoirs, former POWs consistently identified food abundance as transformative. A former Afrika Korps officer stated in 1975, "We expected to defeat a weak, divided America. Instead, we found a nation that could give ice cream to enemies. That's when we knew we had lost more than a war, we had lost our worldview." Another veteran recalled in a 1985 documentary, "My first Coca-Cola was like drinking the future, sweet, fizzing, unnecessary, and available to anyone for a nickel. That drink contained everything Nazi Germany was not: abundant, democratic, joyful." These testimonies, collected across decades, confirm that American food abundance achieved what military defeat alone could not: ideological transformation. The men who arrived as Nazi warriors left as witnesses to democratic prosperity. Historians recognize the POW experience in America as re-education through abundance rather than propaganda. The program succeeded because it relied on observation, not instruction. Prisoners saw American society at peak productivity while enemies were treated with dignity. Food was crucial because it was universal. Hunger and satisfaction require no translation. Weight gain and visible health improvements provided undeniable proof. Each meal became a lesson in industrial capacity. Each Coca-Cola revealed standardization and distribution. Each ice cream sundae proved that abundance could be democratic. Children of former prisoners grew up hearing tales of American plenty. What once sounded fantastic was later confirmed as West Germany recovered and American goods became available. Many were drawn to study or work in the United States, eager to see the reality behind their fathers' stories. They found it true. Supermarkets with endless variety, soda fountains with sundaes, candy aisles with dozens of choices. The mythology of abundance born in prison camps shaped German-American relations across generations. West German business culture absorbed these lessons. The economic miracle was not only about production, but about creating abundance for ordinary citizens. Today, McDonald's operates over 1,400 restaurants in Germany. Coca-Cola is ubiquitous. Ice cream is ordinary. The transformation from scarcity to abundance, initiated in American prison camps, is complete. The historical lesson remains powerful. Ideological change through plenty rather than deprivation, kindness rather than cruelty, demonstration rather than propaganda. The German prisoners who could not believe in ice cream and Coca-Cola became witnesses to democracy's ultimate weapon, the ability to create so much abundance that it could be shared casually, even with enemies. The story of German POWs and American food represents history's most unusual victory, a war won through generosity, an ideology shattered by ice cream, a worldview undone by soft drinks. These men experienced transformation not through punishment, but through plenty. They arrived believing in German superiority and American weakness. They left understanding that American strength came from productive capacity, so vast it could waste resources without fear. A society that could sell Coca-Cola to prisoners for 5 cents possessed power beyond military force. The ice cream sundae with layers of excess, ice cream syrup, whipped cream, nuts, cherry, became a metaphor for American abundance. Each component alone exceeded German dreams. Combined, they represented impossible luxury made routine. That enemies could order seconds while German children starved revealed the totality of Nazi failure. Former prisoners often recalled exact moments of revelation: the first Coca-Cola fizz, the first spoonful of ice cream, the first bite of a Hershey bar. These sensory memories carried more weight than any argument. They had tasted democracy, and it was sweet. The transformation was complete and irrevocable. Men who once marched for the Reich returned as apostles of abundance, carrying the revolutionary message that prosperity came from freedom, not conquest. They had learned that America's greatest weapon was not military might, but the ability to give ice cream to enemies. In the end, bottles of Coca-Cola and dishes of ice cream achieved what armies could only attempt: the complete transformation of enemy hearts and minds. The German prisoners who could not believe such abundance existed became its most enduring witnesses. They carried home the truth that democracy tasted like chocolate and freedom fizzed like carbonation. Their story reminds us that the greatest victories are sometimes won, not through destruction, but through demonstration, not by taking but by giving, not with hatred, but with the simple act of serving ice cream to enemies on a hot summer day. The men who experienced American abundance as captives became freedom's most unlikely ambassadors, transformed forever by the impossible reality of Coca-Cola and ice cream in American prison camps.